Kartel, next Bob Marley.
Hey peeps, it's your girl Blessydgazadiva and welcome back to the Blessydgazadiva channel. And we want to just say a blessed earth strong to the icon, Vybz Kartel, for more life, 100% to the masses, and a gift from largeup.com, an exclusive interview with Vybz Kartel for 2021. No one can versus me, Vybz Kartel, on dancehall, family, and justice. This past summer, as Rona raged and protested in support of basic human rights spread around the world, I interviewed dancehall icon and social critic Vybz Kartel from St. Catherine Adult Correctional Center in Jamaica, where he is currently serving a life sentence for murder. I won't get into the logistics of how we connected. It will be more interesting if you leave those details to your imagination. This wasn't my first time speaking with Kartel. I'd interviewed him both before his 2011 arrest and since. I was the first journalist with whom he granted an interview from prison when I profiled him for this 2016 Rolling Stone feature. We spoke on numerous occasions over the phone between 2009 and summer 2011. A time when he was cementing his status as Jamaica's most influential artist since Bob Marley. So while I didn't hear his voice answer my questions this time or even communicate with him directly, I can confidently report that the answers printed below are 100% authentic and unfiltered. Even in text form, there is only one person who speaks and communicates exactly like Vybz Kartel, and that is Vybz Kartel. When we spoke, Kartel was preparing to release Of Dons and Divas, one of two full lengths he released in 2020. That project, which Kartel, speaking through social media, where he still maintains an active presence, had labeled his Grammy album, was the impetus for our discussion. However, I was more curious about how, with Rona spreading rapidly in jails and other institutional living quarters, prison life in Jamaica was being affected, not much according to Kartel. I was equally interested in speaking to him about his family. His other 2020 album, the hip-hop and R&B inspired project To Tanisha, was dedicated to his common law wife, Tanisha Shorty Johnson. He'd also been actively working to build careers for his sons, Akil, known as Little Addy, and Adisha, Little Vybz, both of whom were featured on Of Dons and Divas. Of course, we also spoke about the appeal on his murder case that he and his lawyers have brought to the UK's Judicial Committee of the Privy Council after it was upheld in Jamaica. A Kartel interview, I've learned, is never predictable. He's warm to questions you might not expect him to entertain and forces you to reconsider views you might have taken for granted. He has a way of politely, at least in our case, always letting you know who is the smartest person in the chat. I have no doubt that if he'd stay in school instead of dropping out to pursue music and the streets, he'd have been a champion debater. Whether in the studio or conversation, you can't out-boss the world boss. Vybz Kartel was extremely prolific in 2020, as he has been throughout his time in prison, and, of course, before it as well. Of the nearly 100 tracks he's released in the past year, the one track that stood a cut above all the rest to me was About Us, released on Bobby Conda's Massive B label just a week and one day before George Floyd's killing by a police officer in Minnesota. It seemed to capture the mood of the moment that followed. While it was a relatively minor hit internationally for Kartel, I heard it play throughout the summer on New York's Hot 97, where Condas hosts the long-running program Fire Sundays, formerly known as On the Reggae Tip, where it was one of surprisingly few songs that seemed to comment on the times. It's one of Kartel's sharpest tracks and the source of the lyrics in the above graphic, which we commissioned from illustrator Robin Clark. I'm not sure why this interview didn't see light earlier. 2020 was a strange year, and a lot slipped through the cracks. Today, Vybz Kartel celebrates his 45th birthday as much as one celebrates a birthday while serving a life sentence. And Babylon has revealed once more in the loudest possible fashion that, as Kartel would put it, them no give a F about us. It felt like the right time to share. So people, there's the backdrop. We get into the question and answers section now between Kartel and the interviewer. Interviewer: recently the world has been consumed with the outbreak and uprisings which began in the US over police brutality and racism. How have these events been received and experienced in prison where you are currently housed? Vybz Kartel: first of all, thanks for your patience. I'm happy you could spare me your time. Well, as far as I can see, there's no Rona in prison and relatively low cases of infected persons and high recovery rates. But what can I say? This is Jamaica. Interviewer: as a prisoner in Jamaican prison system, what is a typical day like for you? Vybz Kartel: Groundhog Day, the movie. How has it changed, if at all, over the last few months? Were there concerns that there would be a Rona outbreak like those in some US prisons? Well, precautions have been taken insofar as testing is concerned, and very limited public access is being given right now. Better to be safe than sorry. LU: what is your take on the reckoning occurring across society as it regards to racism and the abuse of power? Did you anticipate anything like this happening? Vybz Kartel: power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. That's just facts. Did I anticipate what? Black people are powerless, so there's nothing to anticipate. Interviewer: what were your earliest experiences with racism and/or classism, and how did that shape your view on the world? Vybz Kartel: once you're born in the low-income end of society, you learn quickly about your position in the system. There isn't any one thing that I can pick out to say that was a defining moment, but my worldview has definitely been shaped by my upbringing. Songs like Poor People Land and Emergency can attest to that. Interviewer: your lawyers recently returned to Jamaica's Court of Appeal to motion for your case to be heard in the UK by its Judicial Committee of the Privy Council. What do you hope will be uncovered and revealed in this process? Vybz Kartel: nothing new will be uncovered. The Privy Council already knows the wicked ways of the colony. Interviewer: your song About Us struck a chord in this current moment. What inspired you to write that particular track? Vybz Kartel: nothing but the truth. Interviewer: you have been referring to your latest album of Dons and Divas as your Grammy album. Why do you think this is your body of work most worthy of that recognition? Vybz Kartel: because it's a culmination of years worth of experience and trial and error. This album is fine-tuned to strike a chord on the listener. There is a song there for every situation. Interviewer: why is scoring a Grammy important to you at this stage in your career? Vybz Kartel: everyone wants to be recognized by the establishment of which they are a part. And with Grammy, it's no different. Vybz Kartel is the most influential Caribbean artist in the 20 years, both locally and internationally. Plus, I just sold gold from behind bars, from a rigged case, sentenced because of my influence rather than on merit of the evidence. What a story, huh? A Grammy-worthy story. Interviewer: the Reggae Award tends to go to the artists whose names are most familiar to mainstream America rather than those driving the culture. Considering this, what would winning a Grammy prove? Vybz Kartel: based on what you're asking, winning a Grammy would prove nothing really, because Vybz Kartel is mainstream. I've had songs in movies, on entertainment shows, I've performed on various award shows. I'm mainstream enough to easily win. Then add that to the fact that I'm driving the culture. It's a win-win. Interviewer: can you describe the role that your wife Tanisha has played in maintaining your career during the 9 years you've been away? Was she as involved previously, or did she have to step into that role once you were arrested? Vybz Kartel: she is a beautiful, strong woman, like all my children's mother, but she has been there since jump, so it means more. The joy is more potent, as is the pain. She is my muse. Well, she wasn't involved musically at all, but since my arrest, she has been doing well for herself and for her kids, as well as musically. Interviewer: your sons Liquor Addy and Liquor Vybz are on this record too. What advice have you given them as they embark on their own recording careers? Are they listening? Vybz Kartel: when they get a break, you'll know what the advice was. Interviewer: we see photos of you with your family from time to time. How often do you see them? There are some interesting backgrounds in these pics. I remember one said Universal Studios. Is that a regular thing or a special treat? Vybz Kartel: not often, but I don't really want to see anyone here. That's not really my style. So they came a few times. My daughter too. Yeah, the backgrounds are done on the visit. Something like that, a treat. Questionnaire from the interviewer: you have a lot of new artists featured on this project, people like Skillibeng and Daddy One, but also some unfamiliar names. Who are your favorite new artists in Jamaica and why? Vybz Kartel: 6 is my favorite group. Squash, Chronic Law, and Daddy One. They're my fave because they bring a new vibe to the game. Even the fact that they are not from Kingston gives them a different sound, which works for them as well. Interviewer: given you've never had a chance to meet most of these artists you're collaborating with, how are you deciding whether they are worthy of your endorsement, not only as artists, but as people? Vybz Kartel: next interview, I'll let you know. Question from the interviewer: Off Dons and Divas was released on the same day as Buju Banton's comeback project. Was that a calculated move or happenstance? Vybz Kartel: whatever it was, I think it was a good move still. Bringing more awareness to each other's album, plus Buju is my artist, so that was amazing too. Interviewer: what was your reaction to the recent VERZUZ clash between Bunty Killa and Beenie Man? Vybz Kartel: that clash was amazing. Two giants who made it to greatness before social media was even thought of, at least in Jamaica. And to see them using social media to their advantage to showcase the great historical legacy of dancehall, trust me, it was a proud moment for me. Interviewer: are you interested in participating in something similar? Who would be the most appropriate opponent for you in such a clash? Vybz Kartel: from where I'm sitting now? No. I won't. No one can versus me. Interviewer: you are widely known as the world boss. Looking at the world right now, who is the leader in the free world that you most respect? Vybz Kartel: what free world? The reality is stranger than the illusion. Laugh out loud. I most respect my father who raised me. Interviewer: you've recorded an astounding number of songs, well over 1,000 tracks. Not all of them have had a positive message. Well over 1,000 tracks. Not all of them have had a positive message. Are there any that you regret releasing and wish you could take back? Vybz Kartel: no regrets. That would be kind of meaningless because when I did what I did, I knew what I was doing, making music to the best of my ability. Interviewer: your catalog is sprinkled with some sharp critiques and observation of society. Tracks like Thank You Jah, Life Sweet, and more recently About Us. With the world in its current state, do you see yourself leaning towards more conscious themes in your lyrics? Vybz Kartel: no, I'm not a conscious artist. What a label, huh? Guess I'm an unconscious one then. People really don't care though. If they did, Bob Marley's song would be law. Music is entertainment and I entertain. Beyond that, I live my life the way I see it, not the way the system says. And there you have it, people. A resounding, full-fledged interview by Vybz Kartel for 2021. Leave your thoughts below down in the comment section about the interview. Tell me what was your favorite question and answer section, and we will have a discussion. Happy birthday, Vybz Kartel. Gaza Nation loves you with all of our heart and mind and body.